Okay, so people will join us gradually as we go, but I'm here with Olli Zeidler, 23 years old and the 2019 European Single Sculls Champion, 2019 World Single Sculls Champion. It was an amazing year for you, 2019, Olli.
Yeah, hi Martin, thanks for having me. Yeah, definitely. 2019 was the most successful year of my sports career and of course my rowing career yet. And I'm very pleased with the results. Winning the Europeans, the Worlds, and Henley was great. These are one of my this had been my goal since I started to race competitively in rowing. So yeah, I'm pretty happy.
That's pretty good, and you look pretty happy at the moment. It's all quite strange circumstances all over the world, but I gather you've just been into work this morning.
Yeah, correct. I'm still working in a tax consultancy at Deloitte, so I do it 3 days a week, and yeah, I think it's quite good because of the circumstances to have got something to do next to training, even if it's not that performance focused in training at the moment. So you have got something to do for your brain as well.
Yeah, and Deloitte have been pretty good to you, haven't they? They've looked after you as a sponsor as well as an employer.
Yeah, I'm with them for 5 years now. So I started right after school to work for them and did a dual university degree with them. So I worked next to my studies with them, and now they are supporting me in rowing, so I can compete in rowing championships and do my training next to the job. So they are very supportive, of course.
Yeah. Are you quite clever then?
Yeah, that's what people have to say. I don't want to say that I'm clever.
But I think I heard your mum. There's a great film that that the TV guys have been doing about the scullers in Germany, and I think your mum was saying that you were a very active child at school and a very bright child at school.
Yeah, that's correct. I was some kind of a troublemaker always in school. So yeah, I think you can be happy that you haven't been my teacher.
Wow. But I bet your teachers are proud of you now.
Yeah, they are definitely proud of me. I also sent a uniform with my signature on it to the school where my sister is now. So it is the same school as I was, and they are very proud, of course, to have got such a alumni.
Oh wow! So Marie, is it Marie Sophie? Was she at the same school?
No, it's Leah. It's Leah. It's the
Leah.
younger sister. I've got two younger sisters. Yeah.
Oh wow! Oh, that's amazing. So we were chatting just beforehand, and people won't realise. I certainly didn't realise that there are 3 generations of Zeidlers who live in the same house. Is it in Erding?
Yes, it's close to Erding. It's between Erding and the Munich airport. That's where we live, in a house together with my grandparents. My grandparents are the Färbers. So these are my mother's parents, and then of course my parents, and then the 3 children and 2 dogs living under one house. Yeah.
2 dogs. How come you all live together? That's quite unusual for a family to live together.
Yeah, I think we have got a really good relationship. So my parents decided to stay with my mother's parents, and when I was born, they decided to move in a bigger house. This is the house where we now live in, and yeah, it stayed the same.
So, is your grandfather was an Olympic champion, Johannes Faber, in Munich. I've seen that race. I think you can still maybe watch it on YouTube, possibly. So, did he have his Olympic? Did you always know your grandfather as an Olympic champion? Did he have his medal around the house?
Yes, I know where it is. It's in a cabin in the living room, so you can actually see it if you look very close. But he's not showing it around or something like this. It was when I was a child. He was always telling me about his experience at the Olympics, and that's how my Olympic dream developed. And then, of course, I always wanted to have a look at his gold and the bronze medal from the Olympics. And yeah, it's pretty amazing as a young child. And I think it's also pretty special to that the Olympic dream develops in such a young age.
Yeah. It must have been so inspirational, and I guess not just for you, but for your dad growing up, because your dad took up the same sport.
Yeah, my dad was also always streaming from the Olympics, and unfortunately, he never made it in 1 year. The coaches told him that he's just too young to go to the Olympics, even if he had the power and the results he needed to compete there. Yeah, it was very unfortunate, but now we are pursuing the goal together, and maybe I can make his Olympic dream come true when I can finally go there in 2021.
Yeah, we'll talk of that a little later, because I one thing that surprised me. So we'll talk about the 2019 races and season, but I did see that semi-final. I hadn't realised how important the semi-final in Linz was for you, because you qualified for the Olympics.
Yeah, this was a very, very special moment. After the race, I just wanted a few minutes just for myself, just enjoying this moment, because as a swimmer, I haven't made it to the Olympics in 2016. And yeah, I worked hard in the last years to make this dream come true. So finally have got the qualification, which was actually after the semi-final, when you qualified for the A final of the singles. This was just mind-blowing. It's still one of the nicest feelings I ever had in my life. Yeah, really.
Wow. So Olli, you did try to qualify for the 2016 Olympics as a swimmer, or you had dreams of doing that?
I had dreams, and I pursued this dream as well, but yeah, I haven't made it in the end, unfortunately.
So I know your story is quite well told about how you were first a swimmer and then you changed to rowing, but maybe people don't quite understand why somebody from a rowing family with their grandfather's Olympic medal in the house from rowing decided to turn to swimming. So how young were you when you took up swimming, and why was that?
I think I was 7 years old when I started to swim. In a few years later, I also started to play basketball for 1 year, but around 11, 12, I had to decide which sport I want to do to become competitive. And in the end, it was swimming, and I was quite successful there. So even when I tried to row and capsized after 2 strokes, I told my family that this doesn't make sense. I am currently very good in another sport. So I will stay in the water instead of on the water. And yeah, they supported me in my way, even as a swimmer. My grandfather and my dad also went to morning sessions in swimming with me before school when I was in school in Erding, because I wasn't able to drive to Munich in the morning and then back to Erding to school. So yeah, I'm happy that I have a family who was supporting me, even if I was not a rower, and now even more.
What did you like about swimming training? Because, you know, I haven't done a lot of swimming, but I kind of think it's just looking at the bottom of a pool for a long, long time. And I don't quite understand the motivation, but I think maybe moving through water or something. What did you like about swimming training?
Well, it's very hard training as well as rowing. You definitely have to do you have to spend a lot of time in the water just to stay in this feeling, because you really lose the water feeling if you haven't been in the water for 2 days. So this is always you want to stay on a high level, and this is where the team plays an important role, because the team in Munich, this was really the best time of my life, when I just had fun with the guys in training, And we had got some sessions where I just had to laugh the first 50 meters of a intensive session because of the trash talk we had before. This is this is a time I don't want to miss, and yeah, I'm pretty happy that it went that way.
So your training group, I know, because one of the reasons that I've sort of read that you stopped swimming was that your training group disbanded or ended.
Yeah, this was the main reason. We had got 3 Olympic participants. We have got 2 Olympic of the 2016 Olympics, and all of them decided to retire from swimming. And then we had got a few other guys who hadn't made it like I am. So yeah, the whole team wasn't that competitive on one side anymore, and on the other hand, there was not the fun left which we had before. So it was a bit difficult. I decided to swim for 3 more months then announcing that the German short course championships will be my last competition in November 2016, and then swimming was I was also retiring from swimming.
You know, one thing that I thought when I was watching that clip was that, you know, single sculling, and I know you're pretty much by yourself. We'll talk it, you know, if you do more things with other people later on, but I thought he stopped because he enjoyed this training group and the motivation. But then he kind of went to a situation where he didn't have a training group. He was just by himself. So I thought that was quite a big change. And
yes, that's correct. This was quite a big change. I still went to weightlifting training with the swimmers, indeed, even when I retired. But yeah, it was the situation here in Munich. I wanted to be trained by my father. The clubs here in Munich didn't want that. So the only chance for me was to row in a single. I learned rowing in the single. I stayed in the single. And yeah, this is how it developed. So I became a single sculler.
So are you quite stubborn as well?
No, not really. I wouldn't say that.
Okay, so when you said you wanted to be trained by your father, because your father wasn't a professional rowing coach. I know he'd been an international rower, but why did you want to be trained by your father?
We hadn't got a lot of time during my swimming training times because I had to leave the house very early after school to drive to training in Munich, and then I came back about 10 p.m. So in the end, I had got maybe 10 minutes with my father and my parents or my family every day. So I thought this is a good chance to power up our relationship again. And so I really enjoyed the time with my father then, just being on the Oberschließheim course and yeah, having good training. This was what I wanted, and that's why I decided this way.
And how does your dad know how to coach? I mean, it's all very well having been an international rower, but to learn how to coach, I mean, where did he get that experience, or did he go on some courses, or did he talk to some people?
I think he had some chats with my grandfather. My grandfather was coaching during his active time, indeed, and also after that, he was also the coach of my father for a few years. So I think there came some inspiration and insights. And my dad always had an idea how my rowing stroke should look like, and that's how all developed the way it is now. Yeah.
Yeah. So just there are some people tuning in, Olli. One lad, Kent Nord, it's kind of maybe jumping forward a little bit, but he's asked who you think your toughest opponent might be in the Olympic Games of 2021.
That's a good question. I think the toughest opponents will be the medalists from this year's World Champ, indeed. So Sverre and Chettle. They developed pretty well last year, and we had a very strong competition, of course, at the World Championships. You all know this was really close, and I think everyone in this final had a chance to become world champion. and they're also in an age where 1 year more isn't that decisive compared to other older guys. So I have got these two definitely on my list, but a few more. You know, the single sculling field, there are about 10 people, I would say, who are able to medal in Tokyo if it happens. And yeah, it will be very interesting to watch.
That's crazy, isn't it? And I know that you are in contact. I mean, there is this idea of the brotherhood of single scullers, that it's very close, and people have really good relationships that race each other in the single sculls.
Yeah, that is right. I think we are indeed good friends. Beside the time between attention go and the steering at the finish. But yeah, we are really close. We are good friends. We have got a good connection, and yeah, it's a, I would say it's like an exclusive club where you have to qualify for to become one of the single scullers. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you mind they threw you in the water at the end of the race, at the after the medal ceremony?
Yeah. This was also very special.
I noticed you held your medal.
Yeah, I was aware that it might just fly away.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the sunglasses of Sverige, I think, or Chettles. Some sunglasses also fall into the water in this action.
So just one of the questions that I think I found hard to understand, and I think it's part of your story, is that you seem to learn how to be in a single scull ridiculously quickly, very, very fast, in terms of you started in 2016, and then by 2018 you were already a World Cup medalist, and that seems to break all the rules that many people understand about how long it takes to learn.
Yeah, as I said, I had got very personal training, of course. I had got my dad, who was only watching me. I'm someone, if you tell me something, I try to change the technical details immediately. So we had got really good steps forward in every training. So it was actually fun just to see and feel this development of becoming safer in the boat, developing the stroke length and everything. And yeah, it was a big motivation for me, and this is how it all worked out. And of course, swimming was also helping me, because it's the same idea in the end, because they are both water sports. So you want to reach out with your arms or with the blades, and then pull it through the water without just putting the maximum effort on it, but to move in an effective way through the water.
Yeah.
And this is what you learn in swimming too. So this was a big advantage for me as well.
So do you think you were able to be more sensitive in the sculling boat, particularly on the catch, because you knew how the water worked in the water when you were swimming?
Yeah, I think it's the same idea of moving your body or the boat forward, definitely.
Yeah. Kingsley Paul has asked, he wants to know what the most difficult training is, whether it's swimming training or sculling training.
Well, in swimming, I was always a sprinter, so more short distances. So for me, it was hell to swim for 800 or 1,500 meters. In rowing, it's the challenge of a 2K race or 2K pieces in training. If you do it really on a maximum level, you feel how your body is fighting. And yeah, I would say that about a session like 3 times 2,000, which we do regularly in the boat, is one of the hardest things you can do.
Oh, tell me about that session, Ollie. Is that 3 times 2,000, or what kind of pace is that at?
Well, we do it with rate restrictions and on the first two, so becoming more a higher and higher rate. So from 30 to 32, then 32 to 34, and the last one is open rate, where you just try to reach a good time in the end. Yeah.
Oh wow! And yeah, So if you started your learning to single scull, how long before you made your first race?
When I started in September, I think the first race was in June 2017. It had been the German small boat champs for the U23s. My goal when I started to row and with my father, our goal was to be ready for the Bavarian State Championships in this year. But then we realized that on the Munich course will be the German Championships, so we signed in for this race, and this is where my first outing was in the single sculling, and I became third. And the national team coaches were a bit upset because they hadn't seen this coming, of course, and they said she said that they can't put me in a boat for the World Championships because I haven't had the previous qualification regattas, but I will get a chance to race at the U23 Europeans then in the single. And that's where I medaled as well, about, I think, 2 or 3 months later. With the second place.
The second place in those. And you mentioned there, one of the interesting things about you is the relationship that you and I guess your dad as your coach have with the German Federation. How would you describe it? Because I know that they have a sculling set up and they like to have it all close together, and you don't fit into that model.
Well, it's because of many reasons that I haven't moved to Hamburg, where our German men's sculling center is. One hand was my university, of course, together with the work at Deloitte, and also my family background here in Munich. I think the development which we had in the last years hadn't been that positive if I had moved to Hamburg or to any other team, because there was not this personal personal training for me, which I need, of course, in the first years. When you want to learn sculling pretty well, you really need someone who's looking at you all the time. And that's why I haven't moved to Hamburg. I just wanted to make sure that my bubble here, which is all set for success in a work relationship and in a training and competitive rowing relationship, stays the same. And I think there's no time for some testing 1 year before the Olympics, just moving to Hamburg without a clue how it works, going to another coach. This doesn't make sense. So we decided that I will stay here in Munich. And then the answer from the federation was, okay, if you want to stay in Munich, you only can be in the single, nothing else. And so I set everything on the single scull list, and try to be the best, try to win every race, so nobody can say something that I could be out of the team. And this is how it all worked out last year.
It seems amazing that, and in 2018, just after you had not long started to single scull, you went to your first World Cup, and I mean it was in Belgrade. I remember that race very well. You nearly beat Andre Sinek, I think, and was it Roman Ruijli, the Swiss sculler, in second place? But it was so close, and people couldn't believe this big, tall guy they'd never seen before on the rowing circuit, and here he was with a World Cup medal.
Yeah, there's still one of my favorite moments of rowing, because this was the moment where I realized that I can actually be competitive on a world-class level in the sport, which was surprising for me, because 1 year after starting to row, beating one of the role models in single sculling for only 1,500 meter, Andre Sinek. This was I just had a smile on my face after 1,500 meters, because my dad just told me, you haven't been in the lead this weekend yet, so you just try to get on terms with the others and try to be in the lead as long as you can. And that's what I did, and this was just fantastic. And after the race, so many people came there and said I had goosebumps all over my body, because this was a magical moment for rowing when you came along there. And yeah, this was very inspiring and motivating for me, of course.
Yeah. And people know one thing about you, because you're a very tall man, and you are very naturally very strong on the rowing machine, on the ergometer.
Yeah, you can say that. I never had a 2,000 meters over 6 minutes. So even when I started to with Ergo training, the first 2K was 5:50, 52, something like this. So
Wow.
I've got some power or some talent in me to move fast on a rowing machine.
Can I try and just maybe I've got the last bit of a clip of you on the rowing machine. I think you pulled a 5:43.
Yeah, this was last week for the concept spring challenge or something like this. So this was a team event, and I had to go for a 2,000 meter in the last week. So this was pretty hard.
So Olli, let me just see if I can share the screen and see if yeah, there we go. Maybe you can talk through this. This is, I think, the last minute of you on the machine.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad shouting. He was all with me through the 2K.
People think you row longer on the rowing machine than you do in the single. You get more compression.
Yeah, we worked on this through winter, and yeah, I'm pretty happy now. We had got some changes on the setting on the boat as well, and yeah, unfortunately, we are not able to test it on a World Cup level or something like this against the other guys. But I think this is another improvement in the right direction for me.
You look to be suffering now, Olli.
Yeah, after 3 weeks where you only have had 5 sessions, because we haven't been focusing on the performance because of the postponement of the Olympics. It's not the best idea to start with a 2K work then, because this is really hard, of course. Oh. Ouch.
So, what are you allowed to say? What your best 2K ergo score is?
Yes, you can see it on my Instagram. It's 5:38.6.
And when did you do that?
I think it's about 2 years ago, when I concentrated more on the erg and less on the rowing. And this is a advantage, of course. I think when you concentrate on the erg for more, a bit more, you can actually drop your best times a lot.
So one Chris Leonard asked me to ask you if you ever think you might have a go at breaking the world ergometer record for 2K.
Yeah, one day. I think this is a goal for me, but not before the Olympics, because before the Olympics, it's something you should concentrate on rowing. Maybe this year there had been a good chance, but with the Europeans now coming up, maybe it's again more rowing concentrated, so on the water, and less erg sessions. Yeah.
I saw an interview with you before the Olympics were cancelled, that you thought you might not, the Olympics wouldn't be cancelled. You thought it might still carry on. What impact did the cancellation of the Olympics have for you?
Well, in the first moment, it was a shock, because the IOC just communicated with us athletes that till now the Olympics will be held as planned, and then within 4 days they threw everything away and had went in a completely different direction. This was a bit shocking for me, and when you put some belief in the IOC and what they say, it's a bit it destroys the morale and everything.
Yeah. So we hope the Olympics will happen next year, but if they don't, do you still plan to row along to Paris?
Yeah, this is the fixed goal for me. I definitely want to go another 4 years now, and then we will see how things work out. But Paris is a safe goal for me.
Okay, so I had some questions. One of my buddies, Ian McNuff, wanted to know, when you have a day off, what does your best day off look like? What do you do?
I think I would go to a lake in summer and just swim a bit. Nothing like training, but just relaxing. Have good lunch, good dinner, and meeting friends. This is what my perfect day off would look like.
Wow. Do you have many days off?
At the moment, yes, because of the postponement. That's pretty good, but you can't really meet friends. This is a bit unfortunate, but I try to spend a lot of time outside, do the things I enjoy, doing some Ergo competitions, or spend a lot of time in my boat, because this is just it's more than a hobby, I would say, and trying to use the time.
How many training sessions do you do in a week, and how do you fit them in with your work life?
It's about 24 hours a week with training plus physical therapy and everything. So and then it depends, of course, on the time of the season. In summer you do more work in the boat. In the winter you do more work indoors. So
one of how some scullers will train with other boats quite a lot, you know, if they are in the training center, and I see film of you, and you were the only guy on that Olympic course just training by yourself. How do you motivate yourself to push hard to train when it's just you and your dad following in the launch?
Well, this is a pretty normal scenery, I would say, because in the morning when I drive to the course, I'm also the only guy out there, and it's just searching for a good rhythm, a good stroke, and just feeling the flow of the boat is very makes me happy on one hand, and on the other hand, I still want to go hard at the moment, so with less training, but I want to gain some speed, because this is also fun. This is what I like. So this is the motivation I have currently. It doesn't have anything to do with any competition or something like this. I just want to do what I like, what I love, and that's it.
Maybe this is a good time. I know you put on Instagram your 500 meters.
The first 200. This should be the first 200 or something like this. Or the first 250 of a 500.
So if we maybe have a look at this. You can talk us through this race, this 500, Olli.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm alone on the course. And this was. Oh, it's.
Can you still see it?
Yeah, I can see it. It's not that smooth, but people might look at it via my Instagram. And it's actually the second fastest 500 I've ever had. The fastest one was before the World Championships last year. And I was pretty pleased, because I haven't done a lot of training recently, and definitely not on such a high rate. And maybe you can see there that I'm a bit longer than in the last years, even with my legs push and everything. So I thought it was a good idea just to share to people what my training development looked like.
So it's very good that you share things, Ollie, because sometimes in the British system, in the British squad, the rowers are very secretive. The system, that when they do the ergometer test, they're not allowed to share the scores.
Yeah.
You remind me a bit of Eric Murray, the guy from the New Zealand pair.
Oh, that's a pleasure.
Yeah, but Eric used to share, and I think also Hamish Bond as well used to share their scores, and people were very interested in that. What is your motivation to do that?
Well, I think there's no secret. So I don't know if the German system is very pleased with me doing this, but yeah, I just do it because, as you said, people like to see what the top guys do. I want to see the scores, and yeah, I don't see a problem if I share them.
So, yeah, I think it would be nice to know how fast your 500 meters was.
This was 1:31. So.
Oh, that's insane! There was hardly any wind at all.
Yeah, it was indeed. It was a bit of a headwind, so I might have broken my my old best time, which I set before the World Championships in this race with actually no wind.
What did you go? You haven't gone sub 130, have you?
Maybe a bit down. Yeah, but
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, this was crazy before the World Championships last year. This was just we had racing, so test races all 2 days, and I broke one personal record on my home course after the other. So it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's a really big motivation, isn't it? It really helps you with the training.
Yeah, it helped me with the training and also with my confidence through the World Championships, because I haven't been stronger in any time in my rowing career, because I was on top form. So there was nothing to be worried about.
Telfin Bedo has asked a question. He wants to know, in terms of recovery, how do you measure your own fatigue and increase, and to use that to help you increase the volume of your training?
Well, we don't do a very complex. I think I rely on my feeling a lot, how I feel, and how much recovery and how much intensity I can give or take from my body. So there's no numbers, I would say, where I rely on. It's just my feeling, my personal feeling.
Yeah, so the volume that you do is 24 hours a week. And somebody also asked, do you train in the swimming pool at all in the winter? Do you cross train?
I try to do swimming once a week as a cross train for 1.5 to 2 hours in the morning before work. This fits quite good because we have got a swimming pool just 200 meters from my office. So this is a good way to combine work with training.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. That's almost so. Maybe we can take a look at last year, the season last year. So you must have had a good winter training. Did you go on any training camps?
Yes, I was cross country skiing together with the guys from the German 8, and then we had I think 2 training camps. One was in Italy and the other one was in Austria.
Yeah.
So together with the German Federation, and yeah, it was very successful, I would say, just as this season.
And then I've got some pictures maybe to share with you from. Was it the first race the Europeans for you in the 2019 season?
No, we had the German Championships before, and the pre-race before the German Championships to qualify the single. So we wanted to know who the single sculler of Germany will be, and they decided to do it in 2 races. And in the end, I won both of them. The first race was in Hamburg. I think there's also a video footage on my Instagram.
Yeah.
For the last 500 meters or so. and the other one was in Cologne. And there, my father put this video from Cologne also on YouTube, so you can watch it full time.
Was that with Hans Gruner and Timo Piontek?
With I think it was Stefan Krüger, Timo
Krüger,
Piontek,
sorry,
Lars Hartwig, and Stefan Riemekasten was also in the mix.
Yeah. So you must have felt good coming to Europeans. I'm going to try and show you the picture of you at 500 meters, if that works. So here are you at 500 meters. Can you see that? That's your bow of in front. 4 scullers very close together.
Yeah. I had a pretty good start there in Lucerne, which might be a bit surprising after the season before, where I was not the best starter in the field. But we developed the start. I feel a lot more comfortable in the starting position now, and even in this race, there was also a big improvement. And yeah, I just pulled like a dog in on the first 500, tried to stay on terms in the middle thousands. Was then a bit surprised about the outside lanes before the finish line. They came up.
Through the 1,000 meters, and you're still in front at 1,000 meters. We've got Stefan Breuning, Philip Pavuku on this side, quite close to you.
Yeah.
We've got Damir Martin, the Croatian sculler, and then
there they came up.
Yeah. That's by the boat tents with about 1,200 meters gone. What happened there?
I was a bit recovering for my final sprint. I know that I want to sprint through the line, so I was doing a bit more load, and yeah, maybe it was a mistake, but that's where I said that the outside lanes came up and actually passed me, and yeah, that's where I just pulled a bit harder again, and yeah, on the last 250.
Olli, you hardly ever look out the boat, but I think in the third 500 there, I found a shot of you with your eyes just looking across to the lanes on your left, but your head is always straight down the boat.
Yeah, because the head is doing the movement in the end. So if you just look crazy right and left, I don't think your boat will move pretty good. This is my my way of thinking. Yeah.
So have you, with 350 meters to go, have you started your sprint already?
With 350 meters to go, no. I was trying to stay on terms with Sverre just to keep half length lead ahead of him.
Sverre Nielsen is in the white boat on your right-hand side,
And I haven't had more looks to the left. I was sure that I have not more than half a length to the top of the field. This is an important mark for me, because half a length you can get in front for half a length on the last 250 if you sprint through the other guys. And this is very close to the finish. And I think this was a quite good finish sprint. This was very effective also, and I brought all my power and mass into the boat there. So this was pretty good.
And you enjoyed it.
And this was definitely a nice feeling. Yeah, and I enjoyed a lot, and I was pretty happy that Damir was also celebrating for me. We are very, very close friends, so he was really happy that he saw the first place before my name. So this was really fun.
How come you're close friends with Damir?
We had been in America together to the Head of the Charles and Gold Cup in 2018, and we had been in the same family in Boston, together with his wife, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. And Damir is actually also talking German, and yeah, we just had a lot of fun. We spent all the time together in this time in America.
Yeah.
This was just cool.
Fantastic. So Gabriel Polzer, hi Gabriel, if you're watching, and he's asked, what do you listen to? What music do you listen to when you're in the gym or on the ergo?
I like rock music, so this is what I normally listen to. Different rock playlists. I try everything out what I can find on Apple Music, and yeah, that's it.
Do you have a favorite song?
It's changing all the time, so not really. So I just enjoy listen to good music, and it's changing from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And do you like watching TV or go to films, things like that?
Yeah. During the lockdown, I discovered a bit of Netflix. At the moment, I'm watching the Last Dance, so the Michael Jordan documentation.
Oh, isn't that amazing, that film?
Yeah, that is really cool, and I really enjoy it. And there are also some other series I like to watch.
Okay, so after the Europeans, the season didn't maybe follow the direction you thought it would in the races before the World Championships.
Yeah, we had got the 2 World Cups, which hadn't been that successful. In Poznan, this was just before I had a chat with my father that we will continue our training program, so we will not go down with the volume or tapering for this event. So this was the competition of 2018. I was allowed to not perform in a medal position. This was just clear before the race. So we were a bit surprised that I won the heat, the quarter and semi-final very comfortably. But in the final, there was then nothing to do. There was the end of my fitness level at this stage.
Yeah.
No.
And then it was a very strange regatta, the last World Cup in Rotterdam, with the wind and the time trials.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate because when you start into a race and you have a time trial and you immediately get hit by the wind, which the guy after you, I was the first one because I was set on 1 as the fastest of my heat, which the other one will not get. You're losing 2 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
And there had been so many winds, strong winds during my race. I haven't had a chance, and I think all of the guys know that Chettle is not 20 seconds faster than me, which was the case in this in this heat. So I think I don't need to say anything more about this about time trials in Rotterdam. It was half an hour with strange and changing winds every minute, so the times had not been comparable at all.
Yeah, but at least it allowed you to be a TV commentator with World Rowing.
Yeah, this was fun. They asked me if I want to do an Instagram takeover, and I asked, and I said I would like to do a commentary for the single sculls. Yeah, and this was fun. Yeah.
Good. Do you have anyone who inspires you in rowing? I know you said you have a very close relationship with Damir, but who inspires you, maybe in rowing or in sport? Which figures do you think of or come to mind?
Well, in rowing, it's like with music with me. I always look at people and think, wow, this is inspiring me. The first one was actually Rob Waddell in 2000 because he was very strong on the ergometer, like I am. So I looked at his finals and semifinals in Sydney, and that's when I started to talk rowing with my father because we discussed how this guy is making the boat go fast. He was also really tall, and then we had a look after the next Olympics and World Championships. Then Olaf Tufte came up and with his style, and my father said, "This is the way you should transfer the power into the boat." And this is it's really something like a mixture of many single scullers. My technique, And at the moment, we are taking a look at my drysdale because he has got a very long stroke. This is something we want to improve for me. And yeah, at the moment, it's Mahay's technique we are looking at and how to combine it with the other techniques we already copied into our system.
Yeah. It's obvious. It's really interesting to hear, you know, how you and your father think about the great scullers out there and use them as inspirations and use them as technical models as well for where you can improve.
Yeah. There's also fun. I love this about rowing. You can do a lot of things. You can watch a lot of racing and see the different techniques. If you have got very close looks, you also find similarities between the races from year to year, and see what the main aspect is, what makes this guy win the world championships in this year, and what makes this guy winning the Olympics in this year. So this is pretty cool and amazing.
Yeah. So I want to take us forward to 2019. I've got some photographs of the race again. I'm going to ask you to talk through them. But I think, first of all, in terms of your dad, there is on that, the film, which I think is on YouTube, is your father is talking to you just before the final.
Yeah, of course.
I just wanted, you're very close, and maybe you've got some memories of that. If you can see that now.
No, I can see it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just going to play that again because I think I might have missed the first bit. Do you remember that, Olli?
Yeah, I remember that. It was it was very motivational. Of course, we have got something from the Rocky films where he said no pain in the end. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, this footage.
Yeah. Somebody also asked me to ask you, how do you make a successful relationship with your father as coach? Because, you know, maybe sons and parents can be maybe like this sometimes. How do you guys make it work together?
Well, we have got a very good relationship, and I think it's a big advantage to have my father as a coach because he knows me well, better than every coach could ever know me. So yeah, I think if we don't have this close relationship, this wouldn't work out. And sometimes we have got troubles. Of course, we are arguing a lot, especially if we have got different ideas. And yeah, in the end, it's about good relationships. There's the base for success and also for the cooperation. And yeah, we now have got this project together, and we really call it our project. So we're working on this, and it's fun and brings us closer together. As I said before, we have got a lot of time together now, not like as I was a swimmer when I was a swimmer. So it's a win-win situation.
So I'm going to go try and share screen again and look at your race in. So this is you sitting on the start in the race in 2019. It's the call over, so they're calling your name in the grandstand. So what is going through your head?
Yeah, I wasn't hearing the noise of all the German and Austrian people who were actually my supporters. So this was pretty cool when I watched the race that the crowd was cheering for me. Yeah, before the race, I have to say that I'm really nervous when I'm at the start line. Until the attention go, I'm really nervous. But as soon as my boat is running, it's a great feeling. Yeah.
So there's the red light going, and I think there is you 11 seconds into the race. How was the start for you in that World Championship final?
It was a good start. I think I was in the mix. It's where we had had a better start, of course. But he is always just rocketing down the course first. But I think he was never more than half a length in the lead, so
No.
I was in a comfortable position.
And how high does your rating go off the start?
I think about 50 strokes a minute. This is where my starting road, and then I try to find a comfortable pace for me. And a big advantage for me is definitely from the 200 to the 500. There's no let down, so I just try to stay in the starting stroke rate and everything through this period, and then try to improve through the middle.
Do you expect to be in front at 500 meters?
I just try to do my best on the 500 meters. I just try to be sub 140 on the 500 meters. This is my goal, and if this is achieved, this is a good start. And my start is not only the 100. My start is from the start to 500. This is where I see if my start is good or not.
And I remember saying in commentary how relaxed that your face looked and how loose your shoulders looked. And there you go through into the second 500 meters.
Yeah, I was very concentrated, of course. And I think in all my racing, you don't see any emotions in my face. So some of my friends always make fun about that, how nice my smile is.
Did you have any idea at this point what a fantastic race it would be? I mean, I think I said in commentary, this is one of the greatest singles races of all time, maybe coming through to the last part of the race. Did it feel like that?
Well, I felt pretty good during the race, but about 600 meters in, I realized that I haven't started my stroke coach, so this was a bit of a distraction. But yeah, it was just then staying in the race. Don't let anyone go through me for a lot of me for more than half a length. And yeah, this was the tactic, and I just concentrated on this tactic. And in the end, it worked out well.
So Stefan Breunig on the far side, and he just came through the most amazing push in the third quarter from the Dutchman. He went through Sverre Nielsen, and you can see Kjetil Borsch in the on this side. He is beginning to push through too.
Mm. Yeah, the big surprise was Kjetil. I was lucky that I had Steff and Sverre in the semi, and they had similar race plans like in the final. So I knew that Steff would come through the middle 1000, and I knew that I have to stay in touch with Sverre because he's also a very strong finisher. Yeah.
So here you are in the third quarter. You're in.
Yeah, there's also the calm look again, like in the Europeans.
And then back in fourth place.
Yeah.
So are you at all worried at this point? Are you, just because you're close to Sverre, is that what you're thinking?
I saw Sverre, but I was a bit distracted by Kjetil because he was very far away. I hadn't got him in my eye, so I wasn't seeing him very well. So I just had a look, saw that I'm now in fourth position, which was not good because I definitely wanted a medal in this race. So after 1,500 meters, I think I started to push again.
So here you are going through 500 meters.
Yeah.
And it's Stefan Breunig still in the lead, and Kjetil Borsch is coming up.
Yeah, you can see it in the race footage indeed that after with 500 meters to go, my strokes become more powerful again. So I don't get in the energy saving. I'm not anymore in the energy saving mode of the middle 1000. And then we come closer and closer to the finish line, and on the far side, it's getting closer and closer between us three.
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
Bonus is coming too. I mean, I don't know where he found energy from. And then I think with maybe 250 to go, you look round. You had a small look outside the boat.
Yeah, I had a look at Chettle again. I wanted to know which position I am now. And yeah, then I haven't had a look anymore after that. I just tried to use the last 40. I think these are 40 strokes to the finish line, just to try to pull as hard as I can and raise the rate. And yeah, that's when you see how close this is. This is just crazy.
Wow. So here you are in the grandstands and you are still in third place.
Yeah. This is when my speed improved. I think I started to push harder the last 10 strokes there, and then I was on a split I already wanted to achieve in the semis, where I was not very pleased with my final sprint. But yeah, just pulling, trying to catch up Sverry. I haven't had a look at Kettle. I didn't know what he will do, but I don't want it to look outside of the boat and lose, I don't know, 100 of a second or something like this. And yeah, when I crossed the finish line, I was pretty sure that I was in front of Sverry. I had the feeling, even if it was just, I don't know, 300 of a second or something like this. Yeah. I was pretty sure that I was in front of Sverry. And I think then photo finish came up for both of us, and on the screen there was Norway third, and I just raised my arm without knowing if I actually became world champion, but I was sure I was in front of Sverry, and I saw that Kjetil is only third, so raised my arm without the official result. But yeah, I was just a bit outside of my skin after this race. I was just yeah.
How much did that race take out of you?
A lot. It was not as yeah, it was not as hard as a 2K Erg, but it was close to that.
Yeah. And then there was a very nice moment. I think the film on YouTube where your father is watching, and then you come up to congratulate your dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember this. That's why I called him world champion maker.
So how was it being world champion? Have you? I know you watched the race a lot of times. Just to maybe it was difficult to believe at first, hard to take in.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, there was not a lot of changes. It was more like enjoying the time after winning the world title with the people I'm close with. This was very touching, and also seeing there are some videos of my friends watching this race from the top of the regatta house, and just seeing them screaming when I crossed the line and everything, without a clue what the actual result is. And when I raised the arm, they are just escalating. This was this was great. But in the end, I'm still the same person. Even if I have one more medal in my house now. But yeah.
Peter Haining is listening to us, and Peter Haining, I think, was 3 times world champion in the lightweight single sculls, and he wanted to know, maybe in the last part of that race, how you felt the boat, and where did you get the feeling from to go? Is it in your hands? Is it in your feet? Is it what is the sensation for you?
I'm very sensitive in my hands, because this is the connection between the water and me. And it might sound crazy, but sometimes I really have got the feeling like my hand is pulling the water through. So the oars are just a prolongation of my hand or something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the main part. Okay. And then the second most important part is the hips, where you have to get the connection between the legs and the upper body and arms. Yeah.
So we were talking. I didn't realise that you you must be one of the only Europeans to have raced this year, and you went to Australia.
Yeah, I visited my aunt there for 3 weeks. Had a training camp there. She's a trainer, a coach for a school team, and my uncle as well. And as they are both had been competitive rowers and said I should visit them one day, I said, okay, I will do it in 2020 to prepare for the Tokyo Olympics, because they had also very hot weather, very very humid climate. So I used this chance and trained there for 3 weeks. And in the last week we had got the state championships there. And yeah, I had got 2 very good races in Penrith on the Olympic course, which was also cool. And yeah, it was fun.
Wow, that's amazing. Olli, I think we're coming towards the end of our time now. I know you've got a chance to go to the gym this afternoon, because the gyms are now open for the first time in Germany.
Yeah, since Monday. So this is my third weightlifting session this week. I have to gain some muscles again.
Wow, you look very strong. I have to say, your English is amazing, Olli. It's so
thank you, Martin.
Word perfect. I've so much enjoyed talking to you, and I think a lot of people will love watching this film and understanding your mentality, which you've been very open, and which is wonderful to see someone in the world of rowing be so open and willing to share things, because it's so motivational to everyone who watches.
Yeah, I hope so. And I really enjoyed the time with you. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you on the regatta course soon again.
Okay. So Olli, take care. Have a good training this afternoon, and see you later. All the best.